Hi, my name's Joe Yannone, and this is my story. I'm one of three brothers that my parents raised. We weren't a very church-going family. We usually went at Christmas and Easter, although my mom never attended service with us. It was usually just my dad taking us, as I recall. It was Catholic that I was brought up in. I was baptized a Catholic. As I got a little bit older, my dad took me to church, not either one of my other brothers, just me and him. And for some reason, he was real adamant about it. That's probably because about that time is when I started to fall off and started to wander a lot. I got very negligent in school. I used to skip school all the time. So he would literally drive me to school and watch me walk in the front door. And I don't think he was even out of the parking lot, and I was out the back door. I met my wife Judy when I was 19, and we courted for about a year. I turned 20, and 10 days later we got married. She said she didn't want to marry a teenager, so she gave me a few days grace there. We had a good life, but we didn't go to church either. Again, at Christmas and Easter, my wife and I would go, usually attending with her parents. After about 7 years, we had our first child, a boy. 2 years later, we had a daughter, and we decided that we should be raising them in church, so we took them to Catholic church, and it was pretty good. We enjoyed it, but I never really got a whole lot out of it. I've always believed in God, just never really knew what to believe. I always say one of the better things we did for our kids was, even though my wife was working nights and I'd work days or vice versa, we kind of switched off on that. We always made sure we were all at the dinner table together every night, and we always prayed over what we were having to eat. Before a meal, we always prayed. So a little bit time went past, and the kids got older, and church dropped away again. We moved up here to Ohio. I moved up here for a job, and I travel a lot, and that created quite a bit of stress for me and for Judy. Especially being at home with the kids. I would go off. I did a lot of international travel, so I would be gone for weeks at a time. And I was able to cope with my stress with alcohol. And I drank a lot, and I drank hard. I learned that from my parents. Shortly before we moved back up here, my younger brother was killed. He had a drug relapse, and he got killed during that relapse trying to make a buy. And right after that, a year after that, my older brother died. He had pancreatic cancer from drinking and smoking. Same as my father. He died from alcohol also. It didn't deter me though. I kept right on drinking. That's how I dealt with my stress and anxiety. I never got angry with people, but I'd always go home and just drink my way into oblivion. That continued on for quite a few years, and at 49 I got really sick. I wound up in a hospital in Puerto Rico one time. I had pancreatitis. I drank myself in there. They took me down to the hospital. I spent a night in there. It was one of the worst times of my life. I couldn't control my drinking. It's a pretty shameful time. I was no longer a functioning alcoholic. Now I was a non-functioning alcoholic. I had a hard time signing my name. It was that bad. So I was in Australia, halfway around the world, and woke up one day in a hotel room, the day I was to leave to come home. And there were some empty wine bottles, empty beer bottles, empty vodka bottle, an open bottle of Vicodin, which I'd been taking to try to control the shakes I got from when I didn't drink. And I was the only person in the room. It was a really bad time, and I broke down. I just broke down that morning before I had a flight. And I asked God for help. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't stop drinking at this point. So something guided me, and I got on my computer, and I talked to some girl in California. To this day, I don't know who she was. But she told me about 12-step programs and even set me up for places to go when I got back to Cincinnati. So I had a plan. It was a very rough trip home. It was a 22-hour flight. It was one of the worst flights I've ever taken in my life. When I got home, I broke down in front of my wife, and I'm not sure what she thought. I think she thought I was cheating on her or something, but I said no. I said, I just can't stop drinking. And she asked me what I was going to do. I said, well, I'm going to a 12-step program. I told her what happened, and she said, okay. She was supporting me through this. So I did. And the funny thing is, after I asked God for help in that hotel room that morning, to this day, I've never wanted to drink again. It's been 9.5 years now. The whole thing about the 12-step program is that the first 3 steps are surrendering yourself and giving yourself up to God, letting Him take it. And that's what I did. Judy and I came to residence at the invitation. A friend invited us here, and it was right before Easter. And I remember Aaron was talking about baptism and giving your life up to Christ. And I said, well, Judy, I said, I've done that in the program. I said, and after that sermon, we were talking about it. We were wondering, how could we have been baptized as children if we didn't have that conscious thought to give ourselves up to Christ? And we talked about it all day, and we finally just made a decision that that's what we needed to do. So we came here, and we got baptized on Easter last year. And that was a great moment. It really put me at peace. Today, I don't worry or stress out about things. I don't have to drink because of it. I know that God has it. If there's a problem in my life, I just pray about it, and it always seems to work out. And since being at the church, I've been able to do part of what I dreamed about, which was helping others. So I've started a program here. The church has allowed us to use a room, which is great. I'm giving back to the program, which helped me. And as a result of that, I think other people are going to come into the church. So the biggest difference that Jesus has made in my life is that I no longer have to drink or worry about it. Problems that arise in my life. I've learned how to live life on life's terms, and God helps me through those times. If I have a problem, I meditate and I pray on it, and it always seems to work out. So I'm at peace with myself in that respect.